Momentum is the hidden power of the world. It's the path to you finally achieving your goals. It's the difference between the guy who never amounts to anything and the guy who takes over the world. And I know this better than anyone because my laziness and distraction kept me so far away from momentum that I eventually became homeless. And I probably would have squandered away my entire life if not for one moment of divine clarity that struck me one day. What I realized then is that momentum drives all success. All you have to do is keep it together for a few months and I can get out of this situation and establish a new norm. Now imagine two guys that are exactly the same in every way. They both want to learn to code, get into software engineering and make a shit ton of moolah. The only difference is dude one, let's call him Bartholomew, spends 1 hour a month learning to code and does this for 40 years. While dude two, let's call him Alexander, spends 2 hours a day learning to code for just 6 months. Though Bartholomew spends more time studying, he struggles to keep up with the speed of change in computer science. He feels like he has to run just to stay in the same place. He never develops expertise, and so he has to keep his job in retail earning $20,000 a year. While Alexander has built his own app within 3 months. He then uses this to showcase his skills to hiring managers at tech companies. It's enough to land him a job with a starting wage of $75K. He continues to study, adding to his portfolio, and after another 3 months, he job hopped, landing a 6-figure role. I know this sounds ridiculous, but this is basically how it played out for me. Any success I've ever had has happened through short bouts of intense focus. You see, when you spread your inputs thin, change cannot happen. But when you concentrate your inputs, you unlock great power. Sunlight is harmless until you take a magnifying glass and concentrate that energy on one point. And now you produce enough energy to start a forest fire. So if momentum is so crucial, then creating momentum is an absolute must. And monk mode is the perfect way to force momentum into existence. For those of you that don't already know what monk mode is, here's my definition. Monk mode is a defined period of time, a week to 6 months, that you dedicate to intensely focusing on important and meaningful pursuits, while abstaining from destructive or distracting activities. Every successful monk mode period must follow the 4 following rules. Number 1, a commitment to focusing on a certain amount of high impact work. Number 2, a commitment to abstain from all distractions and vices. Number 3, specific and clear rules for both 1 and 2. Number 4, clear start and end date. If you look around your life and you're not satisfied with how it's turned out, and you're terrified of what will happen if something doesn't change, monk mode is for you. If you feel like you aren't living up to your potential, monk mode is for you. If everyone around you has counted you out and you want to prove them wrong, monk mode is for you. But the thing is, most of you already know what monk mode is, yet you're here watching another video about it. Why is that? It's because all this monk mode advice has failed to teach you what it actually takes to make fundamental change. Which is why I've created this extreme monk mode protocol. It's a more challenging but robust version of monk mode. It demands more of you than other protocols, but if you complete it, you cannot help but transform. In order to ensure your life will actually change with extreme monk mode, you need 2 things. Number 1, the right tools to help you build your new life. And number 2, the right weapons to help you destroy distraction. I'll help you with both in this video, but you have to commit to at least 3 months of extreme monk mode. Stop fucking watching videos about it. Now I imagine as you're watching this, a shit ton of excuses have started to crop up. Oh, but I don't have the time. Oh, but I have to respond to messages on my sister's OnlyFans every other Friday. Oh, but I have some sort of gastrointestinal issue that means I have to spend half of every day on the toilet. Leave your excuses in the comments and I guarantee I'll find a way to make it work for you. First, the tools. There are 7 categories of tools you'll need to commit to every day for at least 3 months. Number 1, no alcohol or drugs. Alcohol is absolutely terrible for you. And if you don't believe this, the wool's been pulled over your eyes. It messes with your sleep, makes you put on weight, and literally kills your brain cells. And I don't know about you, but I don't have spare brain cells to spare. Extreme monk mode requires you to perform at your peak. And the same goes for weed or any other recreational drugs. Number 2, no junk food. Junk food spikes your insulin, making you sluggish. Sluggishness leads to underperformance, so eat clean. Number 3, no sugar. Now when I say no sugar, you can have some fruit. Just don't go reaching for the bag of Oreos. Don't be having cakes. Don't be having pastries. Don't be having your dirty little chocolate treats. They're all out. Sugar gives you inconsistent energy. You'll get a 20-minute boost and then crash. If you're still having doubts at this point, read The Tortoise and the Hare. You want a steady release of energy, not massive spikes and crashes. It's highly inefficient and ineffective. Number 4, and this one pains me to say because I'm a caffeine addict, but no more than 1 coffee per day. The more dependent you become on caffeine as an energy source, the less your body can produce its own energy. And coffee can also fuck with your sleep. Have 1 cup 2 hours after you wake to increase focus and then stop. Remove distractions. An 18-hour block minimum with no smartphone. Later on I'll discuss how you actually get this done, but for now let's discuss why it's so important that you cut out phone use. Smartphones are the most addictive creation on the face of the planet. The average person wastes 8.74 years on their smartphone. If you spent that amount of time drinking, everyone would be worried about you. There'd be an intervention. But because everyone is addicted to their phone, there's no one to intervene. No one to tell you just how fucked up it is that you spend the precious hours of your life staring at a little screen waiting for another worthless dopamine hit. I've told people I'm completely addicted to my phone, and they'll say things like, "Oh really? I actually have a pretty healthy relationship with my phone, not addicted at all." Then I'll say, "Can I look at your screen time?" And I'll see 5 or 6 hours per day. Bruv, are you joking me? You're more addicted than me and you can't even see it. So you need to limit the window where you can even access your phone to a max of 6 hours per day. With intermittent fasting, the idea is that our body can never truly rest if we keep slamming it with food. So we need to create long stretches where the body is able to rest and digest. The same applies here. We want to have a huge block where we cannot access our phone in any shape or form. This will be like a daily dopamine detox. Trust me, if you do this, you'll immediately feel more focused, energetic, and motivated. I've often got into this thinking that I need to consume stuff in order to create stuff. But the reality is the more I consume, the less I create. To be inspired, you have to allow the space for inspiration to take place. And all my best ideas come when I allow this space. As soon as the phone is out of reach, ideas flood in. I'm actually allowing my own brain to think. No porn, TV, or video games. We're basically on this planet to procreate. If you jack off, you're telling your brain, we don't have to work or gain status or money or look good or be charismatic or any of that shit to get laid. We can just touch our little sausage. And if your brain thinks that, why would it ever choose to work? Why would it ever choose to do something difficult? These activities completely fry your dopamine receptors. Now normal life isn't stimulating. Anytime work gets hard, you'll want to just stop and jack off. Same problem arises when we watch TV or play video games. We're training our brain to think that rewards come easy, and so hard work makes no sense. Remove all this shit completely. Move the needle. Commit to 4 hours of deep work per day. At this point, I'll hear some of you saying, only 4 hours, that's not nearly enough. I'd say 2 things in response to this objection. This book highlights the routines of some of the most famous and revered creatives the world has ever known, and the author found a surprising consistency amongst all of these creatives. They all worked about 4 hours a day, and they all noted that after 4 hours the work was pretty much junk. So what's the point? And look, these people are the best of the best. So if 4 hours is the most they can achieve, don't fool yourself into thinking you can do better. Of course, if your work isn't creative, then you should be able to get a lot more than 4 hours done in a day. But most people stretch 4 hours across an 8 or 10 hour workday, or they focus on the easy itty bitty tasks that don't really move the needle. And going from that way of being to an Elon Musk clone isn't gonna happen overnight. If you want to work like a dog, you need to gradually increase your exposure to hard work. This way you'll ensure that you don't burn out. It's the same as how you can't go from a couch potato to a marathon runner without some sort of ramp up. If you get yourself to do 4 hours of uninterrupted deep work that's focused on the highest impact stuff, I promise you your life will radically change. And as you find your tolerance rises, you can ramp up the amount of deep work that you do per day. But do it slowly. Play the long game here. Network with 10 people a day, whether it's through a call, DM, email, whatever. It took me way too long to accept that my lack of network was really holding me back. I thought I could just get ahead on my talent, but if you try and succeed in life with talent alone, it will always be an uphill battle. I'd see people with much less skill and experience getting jobs that I should have got, all because they knew the right people. Don't hate on the game, just play it. As soon as I started networking, I started earning significantly more, and I was able to be much more selective with the sort of work I did, and therefore it was significantly more rewarding. By making it a daily habit, it stops being this big, scary thing. Now, when you do this, make sure you're trying to form long-term relationships rather than just trying to sell something. You will not build relationships and you will not build your net worth by focusing too much on the short term and on yourself. If you do this right, within a month you'll have reached out to 300 people. Within 6 months that number will go up to 1,800. Imagine the sorts of opportunities that will arise when you have an army of people that want to see you win. Add energy amplifiers. Commit to at least 1 hour of movement a day. Movement increases motivation and focus and keeps you healthy and happy. Why the fuck wouldn't you want this? It also helps with depression, anxiety, and stress. All things that will kill your progress if left to fester. It doesn't really matter what form of movement you choose. Choose something that you love to do and just get moving. I weightlift 5 times a week and then walk 10,000 steps on the days where I don't lift. Wake up naturally and have a consistent bedtime. Don't listen to anyone that tells you to just sleep a bit less and work a bit more. If you undersleep, you will underperform. It's like going on a cross-country drive with flat tires. Even though it will take you time to pump up the tires, you'll still get to your destination faster with pumped tires. Once again, play the long game. I also don't set alarms unless I'm trying to reset my sleep time. Your body will wake up naturally when you're rested. If at all possible, avoid alarms. If you have to wake up early, then just sleep early, and your body will then naturally wake you up at the right time. You don't want to interrupt this process if you can at all help it. But I get that not everyone's in a position to not be beholden to their alarm, so just do what you can. And remember that sleep consistency is just as important as sleep length and depth. So choose a bedtime and then stick to it for the 3 months or 6 months that you do this. Introduce peace. You're going to want to commit to at least 1 hour of meditation per day. When I was younger, I thought success was all about how smart and hard you work. I couldn't have been more wrong. Success is a completely emotional game. All you have to do is identify those people that don't really work that hard and who aren't very smart at all. You know you're smarter than them, and yet they have significantly more money than you. How did they do it? Because they won the emotional game. Those that win have learned to control their emotional mind. And we're lucky that the absolute best tool for mind control is completely free. It can feel like spending time meditating is a waste of time. But if you're anything like I was, you've read thousands of books, watched tens of thousands of YouTube videos, read thousands more articles, got into debt buying courses, and you're still broke and stuck. The problem here is you feel like you have an information problem when you actually have an emotional problem. You don't want to do what you know you must, and I can't make you do it either. But with meditation, you'll be able to sit with the hard things, and your life will radically change because of that. At this point, you're probably on board with meditation. You get that it's important, but you're wondering why 10 minutes wouldn't be enough. Well, we solve small problems with a small investment of time and effort, and we solve big problems with a big investment of time and effort. So my question is this: how much is your emotional mind holding you back? If you're watching this, it's probably quite a bit. The truth is, not everyone needs meditation. We're not all built the same. But if you're not Elon Musk, and if you're not Alex Hormozy, if you get distracted and demotivated, if you let fear get in the way of you achieving your goals, do an hour. Don't shortchange yourself. No one changed the world or themselves with just 10 minutes of anything. Now, of course, there's loads of studies saying that even just 5 minutes is enough to make some small change. But the same is true of a workout, right? If you just do 5 minutes of a workout, you will be better off than if you did nothing at all. But you won't get jacked from a 5-minute workout, and you won't develop mental fortitude with just 5 minutes of meditation per day. But ultimately, the choice is yours. Develop courage. Do one thing per day that scares you. As discussed, success is an emotional game, and meditation is a piece of the puzzle, yes, but not the only piece. The only way I've found to be less fearful is to do shit that scares me again and again and again. You'd be surprised how insanely rich you could become if you just picked up the phone and asked for some money. I know this sounds silly, but it's true. Most people never ask for what they want. And the people I know that are the richest, the people that have 8 figures or 9 figures in the bank, they all have one thing in common. They're not scared to ask for what they want, even if it sounds ludicrous or rude or whatever else. And anytime I've asked people for outrageous things, I've been surprised by how many times they've said yes. Back in my traveling days, I asked a stranger after 5 minutes of meeting him if I could stay at his place for a week because I had no money and nowhere to stay. And he let me stay with his family for a week for free without having any idea of who I was. And a few years back, a company I was working for said during an all hands that no one would get a pay rise because of the big C. But I still got on a call with the founder and asked for a 60% pay rise and got it. You get things when you ask. Now, a note on dealing with fear. Now, when I was younger, I was terrified of women. I'd see some beautiful woman and wish I had the confidence to go and chat to her, but I could never muster up the courage. And then I'd fool myself into thinking I had an information problem. I was missing something. I didn't know the right line, or I didn't have the right technique to overcome the fear. And I remember going onto YouTube and typing in things like, how do you get over the fear of talking to people? And I'd watch all these videos and they never gave me the answer I was looking for. They never showed me a way to make it easy. And that's because it's not easy, and it was never supposed to be easy. There is absolutely no way for fear to not feel god awful. So if you want to overcome fear, you need to understand 3 things. Number 1, there is no way around it, only through it. Number 2, it will never, ever feel good. Get over this idea that fear can be anything other than what it is. Number 3, ultimately only you have the power to overcome your fear. Nothing external will get you there. David Goggins wasn't built on blogs and self-help books. He was built in the furnace of hardship. David Goggins is what happens when you take responsibility and put your face to the grindstone. Now, in the interest of transparency, I'm quite a fearful person by nature. It runs in the blood. So this is particularly hard for me. If I ever let my foot off the gas in this regard, I fall back to my natural set point of being fearful. This doesn't mean I should give up. It means I need to do more. I need to meditate more. I need to lean into the fear more, because fear is the biggest thing standing between you and success. It doesn't matter how fearful you are relative to others. All that matters is how bad you want it. Attend Toastmasters once per week. Most people suck at public speaking, myself included, but leaders public speak, and leaders make more money and have more impact, have lower stress and higher life satisfaction. And being a great public speaker won't just help you in business. You'll be able to give speeches your friends and family will cherish for life. So I've started attending Toastmasters, which is a not-for-profit organization that teaches people to overcome the fear of public speaking. And it teaches people how to effectively public speak. It's free, you'd be nuts not to go. Connect. Have a call or a coffee or whatever with a friend or family member, or just chat to a stranger. Keep this under an hour. Honestly, what is life without connection? We're on this rock flying through space for a very short period of time. And sure, hustle and productivity and success are all great, but what's the point if we're not connecting with others? We're fundamentally social creatures, so be social. And I can hear you again at this point going, oh, but won't that make me less productive? Actually, there's studies showing that happy people are more productive, and socializing will make you happier and therefore will make you more productive. It's a 1 step back, 10 steps forward sort of situation. So stop worrying and go socialize. And you never know, they might say something that makes you realize a solution to a problem you are having. Or they might trigger an idea for a video or an article or whatever. We have to have inputs to create outputs. Do one nice thing per day. I hate how much Western society has become so individualized. So many people are entirely focused on getting ahead for themselves. Once again, you might build shit tons of wealth, but what's the fucking point? If that's all you have in your life, you're gonna die regardless. So why not help out in your community? If someone is struggling to carry their shopping, offer to help. If someone looks lost, take the time to help them get where they need to go. If someone looks sad, ask if they're okay. Chat to a homeless person and see if you can do something for them. Studies show there are few things that make us feel better than giving. And the receiver of your altruism will feel better too. And they'll start spreading those good vibes throughout your community. These small actions you take every day make the world a better place. Now, the weapons you'll need in your fight against distraction. First, let's start with the 3 must-haves. Cold turkey. Blocks every site that you waste time on. I block YouTube for 23 hours a day. That gives me time to watch it during my lunch break while I'm out for a walk or eating. As I said before, you don't have an information problem, so you shouldn't need much YouTube. Next, I use a lockbox, which is a box that locks your phone for a set amount of time. I use 18 hours. You can use more. I know you want to use less, but Try 18 hours. It honestly feels like you've been cleansed. It's like you've gone to a priest and they've said God forgives you for your sins, unsullied by the constant dopamine, the dirty addiction that you know you have but pretend you don't. The reason I use this and not just grayscale like other people suggest is because I still use my phone when I set it to grayscale. And when I put it in another room, I still go and get my phone. None of those things stop me. So if they don't stop you either, get a lockbox. It's like 20 quid. And if you actually use it, it will save you at least 3 or 4 hours on your phone per day. And can you imagine just how much success and money and status and prestige and impact you can have with an additional 3 or 4 hours per day? So for 20 quid, this is an absolute steal. No Amazon links here. This isn't that kind of video, but go out and get one. I set mine from 7 p.m. to 1 p.m. so that it opens right after I come back from the gym, at which point I use my phone to make TikToks. If I didn't have to use my phone for TikTok, I'd probably lock it up for more like 20 to 22 hours per day. Some of you at this point will say, oh, that sounds great and it's lovely and what a lovely idea, but I need my phone for work, so unfortunately, I can't use a lockbox. Which brings me on to my third tool, a block phone. I use a block phone. I got it for about 10 or 20 pounds, and it allows me to call my clients, receive text messages, all of the basic shit that you actually need a phone for. So don't bullshit me. If you need your phone for work, get a block phone. The uglier and the cheaper, the better, because it'll just mean you end up using it less. And that's the goal. All right, now let's chat about the nice to haves. A running mate. We run our fastest when we're in a race. We lift our heaviest when we're with our gym buds. Having people around you to lift you up will mean that you sustain monk mode for longer. And this isn't some woo-woo shit. Studies show that you are the average of the people you spend most time with. If you spend time with jacked people, you'll lose weight and get more shredded. If you spend time with millionaires, you'll get wealthier. Therefore, you need a running mate. Someone who can either do monk mode with you or someone who at least holds you accountable. Forfeits. Let me ask you this. If I put a gun to your head, could you make 6 figures a year? Could you get 100k on social? Could you get shredded? Of course you fucking could. Easily. So why haven't you done it? Because the stakes aren't high enough. You can go on living the way you've been living and still get food, shelter, and that goddamn crackhead smartphone that you have. You have to increase the stakes or you'll forever live a half-assed life. And forfeits are my secret superpower to increasing the stakes. Whenever I'm struggling to get something done, I'll call a good friend and say, hey, if I don't get this done by X date, I'll owe you $500. And I've never failed to achieve my goals when I do this, because they create massive pain that I have to run away from. A couple of rules here. Number 1, it doesn't have to be money. Just find something that works for you. I grew up extremely poor, and so money works really well for me. Just make sure the forfeit is extremely painful to you so that you guarantee you'll get it done. Set it up so that you have to show proof that you followed through. Otherwise, you can just say you went for a run and stay at home and watch TV and eat pizza. How to handle failure. In order to be successful with any goal, we have to understand how to navigate the certain failure we will experience along the way. Oftentimes people think if they miss a single day of monk mode, they might as well pack it in. This is merely the resistance speaking. If you do 6 months of monk mode, that's 182 days. And if you fuck up 2 times, you've still done monk mode for 180 days. The version of you that fucks up twice but still gets 180 days of monk mode done is significantly better than the version of you that does 18 days, fucks up, and then quits. Get back on the fucking horse. Sometimes we'll mess up and miss a day. That's okay. Just make sure you never miss 2 in a row. Alright, now you're equipped with the tools you need to build your new life and the weapons you need to destroy your distractions. Go out and try it. And if at any point you're struggling and feel like giving up, leave a comment below and I will help you. Now what I've given you here is a path to disappearing from the world for 6 months and re-emerging a completely transformed person. Just 6 fucking months to get the life you want. The question is, how bad do you want it? Time to find out.